So what's the deal, man? Give us the diagnosis. Why are you here? What's up? MMR, all that
I
kind of
mean,
stuff.
I liked your commentary at TI, and then I stumbled on a YouTube video and thought I'd buy a couple sessions just to see if I can improve.
Cool. So what's your MMR? What role do you play? All that kind of stuff.
Um, I sort of bounce around to play like support, offlane, and carry, but I guess offlane mostly.
Okay.
Um, and my MMR is like mid 3000s.
Okay.
To be honest, I played twos with a friend and got to like 4300, and then he stopped playing. So I don't play too much solo, but yeah, we'll see.
Gotcha. So you trying to get into solo, or what's the deal?
Yeah. I mean, I don't play. I'm trying to cut down, but yeah, I just want to. I like being good at the things I do, so I'm not like super concerned, but it's more fun when you're better at it. So
I got you. I'm trying to give yourself more purpose for when you're playing, something like that.
exactly.
Okay, sweet. That's kind of what I aim for with the coaching sessions. Like I always try to emphasize that you're not really paying for the session, you're paying for the time you get to spend playing Dota afterwards, where you feel like you're doing something better. So, okay, so let's go ahead and get going. Do you have some replays in mind?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Do you need like the match IDs?
Yeah, the
or...
match ID you just posted in Discord.
Okay, cool.
And it has to be within the last week. Hope.
Yeah, these are from this week. I'll put the second one up now anyway.
Sweet. So, these are both offlane games, or?
Yeah, they're both they're both offlane Sven games because I wanted to control for actually knowing what I'm doing with the hero. And
Cool. So, this one's a win, but it looks like you had a rough game. So I offer both. So I'm gonna turn on screen share.
okay.
On Discord, you should be able to see what I see. If it's like blurry and you don't like it, feel free to tune into the stream. There's like a 3-second delay, so it's up to you.
Okay, cool.
On what you'd rather do. So basically, this patch, offlane feels like it's become a lot more tri-lane and solo lane-ish, but pubs are really dual laney, is what I've still noticed. So we're just gonna kind of see how. I'm just gonna try to make you think about the offlane the way I want you to think about it generally, because there's gonna be a patch soon.
Yep.
So rather than focusing on how to play offlane in this patch, I'm gonna focus on as much as I can about how to play like what to think about as an offlaner and what your job is. So, because I feel like every patch, even if you're as an offlaner, even if the meta changes and the heroes change, the role of the offlane is always similar. So, let's go ahead and just get into it and see what we can find. Do you have any questions preliminarily before, feeling like that's a specific weakness of your game, or you kind of just waiting for me to tell you what that is?
I think I guess a couple things I struggle with. One, I'm not super flexible on heroes. Like I play Enigma, Sand King. Like I play a handful of offlane heroes because I sort of play like 4 to 5 offlane heroes, 3 to 4 carries, and 4 to 5 supports. And so like if a couple of them don't work, I'm a little bit backed into a corner.
Are you
Like
saying
if
like
they
across patches, or are you saying like if?
Yeah, like a combination of the two. Like let's say that a couple of the offlanes that I play are weak, like Sand King got nerfed. Let's say they pick a Rubik and a Silencer, and like now I need to solo lane because we're defensive tri-laning. All of a sudden, like I can't really Enigma, and I'm sort of like, running out of heroes to pick.
Okay. So what's the question there? I guess. Do you want me to give advice on that, or?
Yeah, I mean, how I guess the first question is, how do you go about increasing your hero pool? Like, do you just spam it in pubs and like, if you get crushed a couple times, so be it? Or
yeah, so I guess I'll address that question. So I used to think like when new patches came out, and for instance, I didn't used to like playing Spectre very much. So like when it was a Spectre patch, not only did I not like playing Spectre, but I'd also like be like, wow, it's so stupid if you pick Broken Spectre. I don't want to pick Spectre. So like I basically hindered myself from like learning new heroes, and my method of realization when I've played on teams and like watched other players is like when a hero becomes really good, that's like the easiest time to learn them because there's a lot of other people playing them, so you have like a lot of material to study in case you want to or need to. But you also have more room for error because the hero's just good. So if you mess up, then you can get away with winning even if you mess up a couple times. So basically, my method of winning or learning new heroes is like if there's a broken hero in the patch in your role, like whatever role you're playing, then you should just play that hero like 20 times in a row in that new patch and like learn them, like understand like why they're good, why they're like what makes them strong, like what their weaknesses are, and like that's like the way you slowly add them to your pool. I don't feel like, at least at my level, but I would recommend it to everyone else too, is I don't really feel like we have the luxury nowadays to like learn new heroes if they suck. Like you're just gonna get flamed by teammates for picking it. You're gonna like nobody's gonna know how to play with the hero because like the thing not only about what I just said about the meta heroes, but also like if you pick something that's good, people have not only seen it more, but they've also played with it more, so they kind of know what your hero does. And right. Like half of the battle is not only knowing yourself what you're supposed to do, but your teammates knowing what you're supposed to do. So that's my overall recommendation on that. Any other questions before we keep going?
Yeah, I guess the second thing is I'm I'm aware of what my job is in lane. I win the lane, and I'm aware of what my job is afterwards, which is mostly, pressure and make space.
Okay.
But I sometimes and I understand that it's okay to die sometimes, in order to do that. But I feel like I do struggle with being overly aggressive sometimes and feeding, and I'm sure like even in this replay you'll see like I make a lot of space early, and then I think I get a little carried away and like die a couple times that maybe I shouldn't.
Okay. So is there a question with that, or you just want me to focus on that when I'm watching the game?
Yeah, I mean, I guess just something to look out for, okay, and like cool. How do you balance?
Yeah, I'll talk about it when we get to the games. I think that kind of thing is better with examples. So cool. When we see the examples, I'll make sure I call them out. If you want to as well, there's a guy I coached like a week or two ago that was Offlane, and I talked to him about knowing when to be aggressive or not. So like on top of this session later, you can feel free to, it's on YouTube, so you can like feel free to check that out if you want to.
I think that's actually the video I saw. He plays Sven and Sand King.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. No, never mind, you've already seen it. Yeah. Safe Lane Sniper, the 3K classic.
Yeah, this is a staple of these games.
Okay, the guy has no shrapnels. I don't mind the TP. So far, so good. Generally, if I don't say anything, that that just means there's nothing to say yet.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're in a spot where you use 2 stuns to get the kill, which is fine. You're low on mana now, and if you look like I'm saying this stuff to address your situation, following what I'm about to say. Sorry, it's a little weird here. So what I'm trying to say is we now recognize our situation. This is the spot where you come into the lane now thinking, yeah, I have low mana. My support's not here because he TP'd base. We're in chill mode, right? Like that's where we're at. So immediately we should always try to recognize to our best capabilities whether or not we're in chill mode or we're the stronger ones or whatever. And so after we've recognized that, then it's important to see what the lane's doing. Okay, so like if we're in chill mode and the lane is pushing into their tower, you can honestly just go cut their creeps, right? Because that's the best way to chill while the lane's underneath their tower. If we're in chill mode and the lane's pushing into us, then we should probably, or you can go pull, by the way, that's another option, like pulling the big camp if it's pushing into their tower. But if the lane's pushing into us, then we should just let it push into us because we're chilling and the lane's going to be like in a better spot 15, 20 seconds from now. It'll be farther down the lane. And then it's like, so those are our options, I'd say, letting the lane push into us, pulling the big camp, or cutting creeps. Those are like our 3 options. So the main emphasis is there's always going to be a couple options, and we need to decide which one's correct. And that's like the hardest part about playing carry or safe or off lane is like once you get this down, it becomes really easy, but you need to think about it that way. So like I look at this and I say, you're going to walk back up here. What's the lane doing?
Pushing.
Pushing into you, right?
Yeah.
So we can just chill, right? Because you have no carry, or sorry, you have no support. They're 2v1. They're stronger than you in the sense that there's two of them and there's one of you. And not only that, but there's also creeps on their side. So if you guys start fighting each other right now, your creeps are not going to hit them, but their creeps are going to hit you. So all of this points to unfavorable trade, right? So putting yourself in a spot where they can potentially try to trade with you is very dangerous. So something I was looking at in that other session was when he had more creeps, you know, look to be aggressive, look to stun, look to use these opportunities. All the lane is that takes skill in terms of trading is recognizing not putting yourself in spots that allow them to trade better than you. So like this, or punishing the other guy when he does the same thing. That's like the two things, right? So this is a perfect example of knowing lane equilibrium, like where, like based on how we started the lane, meaning our Jakiro's not here yet, that we're in chill mode. So the last thing we should do is put ourselves in this aggressive spot, and you're just gonna take a lot of damage for no reason. And this is like you're trying to get creeps. Like just let the lane push into you. When then your Jakiro shows up, and then you have full health when your Jakiro shows up, and then maybe you guys can do something. But suddenly you're salving, so you like that was just a free salve for them. They had expended a cask and a shrapnel. And so the thing that I notice about all these scenarios when I'm coaching, especially these offlane players, is do you agree with me here that you could have predicted how that would have gone, right?
Right.
And that based on lane equilibrium as well as the other situations in the lane. So, like, I just think that trading and laning is all about, like, self-awareness and when to be aggressive or not. It's all about, like, self-awareness. Like, constantly asking yourself, it's basically asking yourself, how strong am I? Like, all the time. Like, how strong do I feel? So you guys may get a kill here. No. So you may be in some trouble. No, you get a kill. I actually don't know what's happening. Okay. Moving on. So you're out of a salve. Like, it'd be nice to have a salve right now because you pretty much lost it for free. That's how I end up thinking about it. Like, well, what did it cost me? And so in the future, when you're like, when you make those kind of mistakes, don't panic. Just think to yourself, like, how did this mistake affect the lane now? And make sure you try to play accordingly. I'm not very good at that, if you want me to be honest. Let me see. So he has 3 tangos. You should probably ask him for a tango. I'd say in the situation. He did
pull me one, actually.
Cool.
The one that I'm.
Oh, the one that you're using?
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'd also, in this spot, whenever you are like this, what screams to you what needs to be done right now?
I need to pull the creeps.
Okay. So, long story short, if you're like half mana, no health, or something of that nature, you need mana and you need health. So, what are your options for health and mana? This like any stage, courier, or shrine or base. Those are your 2 choices, or 3 choices. Sorry, at any point in the game. So no shrine yet.
Right.
Going to base at 240 is like unheard of. So what's your option? Courier. So immediately we check the courier. Like immediately we check and see where the courier is. If the courier is like already to mid lane, then that option's kind of off the table and we just need to chill. And we're just going to be either dragging creeps or like using creep aggro to play defensively. Those are our options, right? But we first need to address, like, we need to fix this regen problem. So often I see in these 3 to 4K player games that you guys have, like, low mana, low health, and the courier's at base, and you let the courier leave without your items. So, like, whenever I go for trades, whenever I go for kills, what almost always happens when you go for a kill? You expend mana, you probably traded with them a bit, it wasn't free, and so you lost health and you lost mana. So every time I get a kill, or win for a kill, especially when you get a kill, because when you get a kill, you have gold. Like, so you have gold to buy stuff. I immediately think, like, I need to think about items, like, where am I in the lane? Like, let's reset this lane. Like, we need to get once we get a kill, we want to reset the lane in a way that's advantageous to us. Because basically, you kill the guy, they come back, the lane starts over again. But if you're sitting like this and you killed him, and then they're at full health, full mana, it doesn't actually benefit you to have killed them. Right? Like, that doesn't help. So the point of killing somebody is that after you kill them, the lane proceeds to be better than it was before you killed them. So with that in mind, it just needs to become like a natural trigger in your mind. Is every time you get a kill, every time you took a crazy trade, like what's my item status in terms of regen? Like, what do I need to do to fix this? Like, am I okay sitting at low health, low mana? Like, say you're sitting at this health, this mana, and the lane's right here, and it's 4:30 into the game.
Yeah.
You're probably okay chilling with low health, low mana, because you'll just chill here when the wave gets there, and then at 5 minutes you go pick up this bounty rune, and then you go shrine.
Right.
There's no reason to panic if 30 seconds from now you're going to be full health, full mana, and the remainder of the time the wave's right here. But if the wave's like right here, like maybe that's a bit different. Maybe there's no option for you, but you should at least consider the option, right? Like that's the important thing, is because sometimes all these options I'm giving you, like none of them are valid. So sometimes you just have to go base, or sometimes you just have to have no health and no mana, or like, you know, you just have to be in a shitty situation. And you have to play super passively until Shrine's up or something. Either way, it's clear to me that option never crosses your mind when you don't even consider using the courier at base. Like, it should be instant, like in your head, using courier when you're this health, this mana. So let's see how the lane plays out. This is just forcing yourself to be passive, is pretty much what happens here. So now you walk all the way back to base. This is just poor. This is just poor courier management. That's all it is. And like I actually talked about how important use of the courier is. So the last thing you should do when you walk all the way back to base is buy items you can buy from the side shop. That's a yikes. In terms of, if you walked all the way back to base, then you know,
you should buy the mask instead of the ring.
Yeah, like basically make use of the luxury that you're at base. That's a pretty important thing. And then let's see what you do for regen. Looks like you're shopping. Okay. I
fear nothing. Yeah.
Do you ever go into a lane with no regen at the start of the game? No. Same thing here. Like, the only time you ever don't go in a lane with regen is when you intend to leave the lane. Because you're a carry or an offlane or something that's about to be done with the lane. Or if you, in your mind, have no way that you're going to trade with them. And that's like 5% of games or less. So like every time you re-enter the lane, every time you kill somebody and reset the lane, act like the lane's starting over, you know? Like, act like you're entering the lane as you were at 0 minutes. And like, what's the lane going to look like? Are we going to trade? If I don't buy items, am I allowed to use any mana here? Like, if I use 2 stuns, I'm useless again. Like, and I look at this. So like, I would have bought, if you really want to go the Ring of Basilius, which is fine, you can go like the Sage's Mask and go like Tango Mango or something with the gold you had. If you think you need Tangos, Mangoes, and a Salve, say you think you need that, then if you don't have enough gold for the Sage's Mask, you just can't buy it. And you can maybe buy a branch, you know what I mean? Or a stick, something like that. Something cheaper. The way I think about it is, how much regen do I need? And this is just a completely educated guess. How much regen do I need? And then what can I buy with my remaining gold is like how I look at it. So, because regen is first and foremost like the most important thing. So we end up getting, this guy ends up feeding because he's a safe lane sniper. Please don't pick safe lane sniper, people in chat. Thank you. Okay, so lane's good. 440. Your health and mana, like, just imagine if you had a Tango and a Mango right now, right? Like, you don't even need to use the Mango. You'd be full health if you had Tangos, and you would be perfectly content using 2 more stuns if you had a Mango. I'm just presenting this to you because of how important it feels to have these regen items. Like, a lot of times you don't even need them right away. It just gives you the ability to do something. So, like, if you have a salve in your inventory, what does that tell you? Like, what does that allow you to do if you have a salve?
I mean, I can play aggressively and then heal and start to play aggressively again.
Yes.
I can...
Basically, you can take a trade, lose half or more of your health, and then reset. And the lane's, like, not over. So, like, there was one time I was in a pub where, like, I had a salve, we went on them, and killed them, and I lost, like, all my health, and I salved up. But, like, we barely killed them. And if we hadn't killed them, I would have just salved up, and it would have been back to the lane. But if I didn't have a salve, and we didn't kill them, then I'm fucked, right? Because then I just went on them, they didn't die, and I don't have a salve. And I tried to do it later, and later on in the lane, I didn't have a salve, and my support wanted me to do the same thing. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that. Because
Yeah.
if it doesn't work and they don't die, I'm fucked. So, like, you know, I can't do that. So the important thing is when I tell you, like, what do these items mean for you is, like, if you constantly are asking yourself the first question that we told you to ask, where it's like, what is my status in lane? What do I want to be able to do in this lane? What do I need to be able to do that? Then items, it'll naturally start to understand, like, what region items you need. That's how I look at it. So lane's good right now. Bounty runes, definitely should have considered your own bounty rune here.
I mean, my Jakiro was. I thought my Jakiro would get them with the sniper dead. But...
Basically, like, think about the bounty runes. That needs to go through your mind. And then somebody on your team needs to be at this bounty rune at 5 minutes. Like, especially when their witch doctor support's just chilling. Like, you don't know where he is. Like, you need to walk over here. If you put yourself in the right place at the right time, in my bracket, people randomly feed to me because I'm in the right place at the right time. I assure you, people will randomly feed to you if you are in the right place at the right time for these general things. Like, the guy's not going to think, like, the offlaner is going to be always ready to be at this bounty rune. Like, they're not used to it because your bracket doesn't do that. So, okay, so you win Morbid. So in general, the reason why I'm just not a huge fan of the Morbid is it doesn't really change anything for Sven. Like, you have a shitty base attack time. Like, you don't really steal much off of it. It gives you, like, 9 health per attack. Doesn't do anything else. So, like, a hero like Troll, right, can kind of change his entire laning phase if he has a Morbid sometimes. Because
he just, jungle or whatever.
Yeah, he can jungle. He can steal so much life compared to how much damage he's taking. So, like, this is just an item that's enabling this item.
Right.
And so my two options when I get to this point is I want the courier, right? This totals about 800. So I have enough gold for the items that aren't my Morbid. So, like, I want the courier for it, but it's right here. So my next question is, how urgent is this Vlad's? So I'm about 800 gold away from my Vlad's. What does the Vlad's do for me? That kind of thing. That's how I look at it. And I feel like a big timing to hit would have been 5 minutes, right? Because of the catapult. If I get the Vlad's by the time the catapult wave's here, we can, like, put a lot of pressure. But so the main emphasis that I'm thinking is, if I can get this item by 5 minutes with the catapult, I'm going to pressure with it. Main emphasis being, I can potentially pressure with the catapult. Like, that's something you should consider every game. Like, can I pressure these guys with a catapult? So this isn't something you can plan, okay? Meaning, you get the kills or you get the bounties and suddenly you see your gold and you're just like, oh, I have 10,000 or 1,018 gold. This is the catapult wave. We're actually doing okay. This sniper's only level 3 with no boots.
Right.
Like, we're doing fine here, even though I've fed or whatever. It's fine. Or, like, I had to walk back to base, I mean. So, we're thinking 5 minutes 22. It's a pressure time. I can't get this item because the courier's out of base. What do I buy with this much gold?
Probably just phase.
Yeah, phase, right? But that's the point, is you're in the mindset, I need to pressure. Is there an item I can buy? Do it now. Like, that's how I think about it. Like, I wouldn't have even told you, you need to go phase before Vlad's. I literally would have been in this exact scenario and been like, I can't get my Vlad's by the time I need it in order to pressure this catapult. I have this much gold. Like, oh, phase boots. Like, that's, you know, that's how I process things. Instead, you buy the Morbid, which, if you're ever buying, like, a big item that just doesn't change anything, that's, like, a big concern. Always know what the item's doing for you, how it changes things, and then you'll never make these kind of purchases again. Because you'll realize you just spend 900 gold on an item that just doesn't change anything. Like, it just doesn't, like, the lane looks the exact same when you have a Morbid. The Morbid's only effective because you'll have a Vlad's, so there's no point having the Morbid until you have the Vlad's. Okay, so catapult wave. Okay, so you're gonna run around on the sniper because he's a sniper. Okay. Fly yourself regen with these items. Okay. Highly recommend you use a hotkey for opening the shop. You don't have to do that, but I think it's really nice. I can tell you don't because you're clicking it.
Yeah.
Okay, we're looking. Okay. I like it. So this is just an example of how many mistakes you've made in this lane, and you still got their tower That's just the nature of 3K, 4K, right? Is you're allowed to make mistakes and still get like, and still do
Right, I'm
what
still
you're
like
supposed to.
crushing him, even though I'm not
Yeah.
playing super well.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. Where people go like, you know, BSJ, I can't apply the stuff you're saying in my bracket. It's like, yes, you can. You'll make more mistakes than I do, but like the other guys are making even more mistakes. So.
Yeah, they're playing safe lane sniper.
Yeah. Yeah. So okay.
So like this is one of the things I was talking about. I sort of get this like tunnel vision, and now I'm running around.
Yeah, I always watch how it plays out, then I watch how it led up to it.
So like axe TPs, and I'm smart enough to run, knowing that like kind of mission accomplished already. Like forcing the axe to TP to this lane away from my TB is like.
But my question is,
already, like, mission accomplished.
What's going on in your head right now?
I want to pressure this tower to take some pressure off my safe laner, who's been losing like a reasonably tough matchup, TB versus Axe. So
he may be having a tough time, but he's not losing. Just so you know.
Well,
I'm not. Good.
It's not a great matchup. So
okay, so you want to draw attention away from your safe laner.
Yeah.
So I'm asking you. So what's the point of this? So if your point is to take pressure away from the safe laner, when the Axe TP is, what does that mean?
Mission accomplished.
Job done, right?
Yeah.
And that's the point. Is like, to avoid tunnel vision, you need to ask yourself why you're making a certain choice. So, like, first and foremost, whenever I walk up to a tower, am I safe or naturally in danger by walking up to a tower?
In danger.
Okay. So, I always view the game as like rules and exceptions, right? So the rule is I'm in danger when I walk up to a tower. And in every specific game, I have to ask myself, what creates that danger? Like, what is the danger? So, like, is that danger I can walk away from? Is that danger that I have to preemptively walk away from if they're TPing? Like, if I'm saying, like, if they TP in front of my face, can I walk away? Or do I already have to start walking away before they TP? Like, what kind of danger is this? How does it kill me, right? And, like, so that's the first question.
I'm reasonably safe.
Yeah,
like,
in this game, you're safe.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, if you go up to a tower, this is the way I think, okay? And I think it helps a lot to think this way. So it's like, what threatens me when I walk up to this tower? And, like, if you immediately think, holy shit, like, you know, if you're PL against Ember, I can't hit this tower if I'm PL against Ember, because if Ember TP's in front of my face, he's catching me before I get away. Like, I just know that, like, as a hero. But in other games, like, if I'm Jug against Ember, I can be hitting this tower. And if Ember TP's in front of my face, I'll just walk away. And if he chases me, I'll spin TP. Like, whatever.
Right.
But, like, either way, I have an escape plan. So, like, in this game, I think to myself, if I get any TPs at this point, I'll just walk away.
Yep.
So the first and foremost, how do I get away if they TP? Second off, why am I doing what I'm doing? So, like, if I'm going to this tower, what does it even offer for me? Am I strong enough to fight people? Am I trying to help somebody else on my team, like you just mentioned? So if those two things combined, meaning you have an escape plan and you know why you're doing what you're doing, you're just not going to do stupid shit. Okay? So, like, that's really all there is to it, in my opinion. Like, you're just not going to do stupid shit. So the second you force this guy here, I would have even forded this wave potentially before you TP'd. The second you force this guy here, you're like, okay, cool. So,
right.
Do you really want to be... So, how do I word this? Sniper's pretty useless, right?
Right.
And you are forcing the axe away from Terrorblade, right? Because he's like a strong hero and he scares the Terrorblade.
Yep.
So if this guy's useless as shit and axe TP's top, what's the only play the enemy team can make?
Collapse on me.
They have to go top.
Yeah.
They have to go top because their sniper's a useless piece of shit, right? Like, if they have an anti-mage or a Terrorblade with a bad start, or honestly any carry with a bad start, that guy's a useless piece of shit. So, like, if he's useless, if the enemy team's going to make a play, it's going to be the guy that's not useless. And if they make a play around this sniper, are we okay with that?
Yeah.
Like, the point is, when I say this kind of stuff, my chat or viewers will argue, like, but BSJ, we're in 4K. They don't do that. And it's like, do we care if they make the play around sniper? No. Like, that's terrible. They're not going to, even if they do that, it's bad. Like, we're fine with that. So it's like, right now, when the Axe TP's top, that immediately tells your entire team, whether you guys know it or not, it tells your entire team their only play is top. So let's back off. What's going to happen here when you back off?
I mean, I I was backing off and then saw the Lich and should have just immediately known, like, okay, they're all here. I need to just TP immediately.
But no, you don't have to TP at all. What happens when they TP all their strong heroes top and you don't know where the rest of their team is? View the next 30 seconds for me. What's going to happen in the next 30 seconds?
I mean, we can start backing up and everybody else will show at some point. And then we'll have
Why are they showing?
Because we're going to be pushing other lanes.
Yeah, you're going to push the other lanes. You're going to push the other lanes. So in your bracket where you're saying, in my mind, the communication that should go through your head is, I don't know where they are. They're only good place top. Push other lanes. And like I would tell my team that if they just say fuck off or like don't push the lanes, then that's going to force us to play more passively. That's all that's going to do, right? Like, but that's something that is good communication from you because it's thinking about your own game. Like, you want your team to push other lanes because you don't know where they are and you still want to play top, but you don't know where they are. And then the only way you know where they are is if your teammates push lanes, right?
Yeah.
So, that's good communication because it stemmed from you thinking about what you need for yourself. Like I said, with all the things we processed, this should not be a thing. We should not be fighting them here. Because even if it does work out, it's not a high level, it's not a high percentage play. We could just back off, push both lanes, have the enemy respawn, and what happens when they respond? Like, if you backed off, your Invoker pushed, your Terrorblade pushed, and the enemy then disperses and respawns, what do?
Go back top.
Right back top. So you chill as close to top as you can based on whatever they're doing. If Lich runs at you, you run farther. Right?
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. I think one of your biggest issues as a player is your itemization, I think. I'll be honest with you. Like, really, really think consciously about your items. And, like, ferrying items like clarities and mangoes. And, like, if you have mana problems, fix it, you know? I just want to say that, like, I'm ignoring that for now because we've already mentioned it a lot. But it's been pretty constant for the first 10 minutes of this game that, like, your items are just not optimal. In terms of, like, you have 800 gold. You could have had, like, the courier could have been used. Like, your job is to pressure. Like, don't handicap yourself. Like, have all the items you need. Buy a Glove of Haste, a stick, and 2 clarities, you know? You don't need health regen anymore. So, that kind of thing. Okay, so, a little bit of an overextension there, but it's life. We talked about it a bit. So, moving on, fast forwarding. So, like, if you're intending to play aggressive, what do you... It's the same idea here, right? You're leaving base. You want to go play aggressive. Buy 3 clarities. You know what I mean? I'm just rehashing it again. What's your plan? And then what do you need to do it? Always ask yourself that. Okay, so this guy's just in the dead lane feeding at 11 minutes on a level 5 sniper. Okay, so... Notice how, like, if you got that kill on sniper and none of this happened, you just have no mana again.
Yeah.
Okay, so... Since I'm so focused on items, now let's look at the actual game itself. So we're walking at top. We saw Witch Doctor bottom. We see Lich bottom. We're walking up this hill because we're not afraid of walking into something, which is fine. You see TA mid. This is a fine kill attempt because of everything you see. Now GTFO, run! Just run!
Yeah.
Don't hit these creeps, run! That's a TA. She's level 9.
Yeah.
Axe somehow has a blink at 11 minutes. But, like, no more tunnel visioning. Okay, so remember how... Okay, if you've watched... I don't know how much of your coaching you've watched. You said you watched that video recently. So, something I've hashed on in almost every coaching session, and, like, whenever people ask me about getting better at Dota, I say that laning decisions are simpler versions of decisions you have to make later on in the game, okay? That's how I view Dota. Like, yes, there's some stuff that it doesn't apply to, but how the fuck is killing that sniper not the exact same as killing him 2 minutes into the game and then resetting mentally and considering what's going on in the game? Like, it's the same thing. Like, what's happening on the map? Like, in the laning stage, it's literally like, what do I need in order to continue laning? But at this point, it's like, What's happening on the map? Who's strong? Do I back up? Do I keep going? Like, immediately resetting myself mentally, though. Like, I just killed a guy. Something like, the kill's over. Now what? And, like, when you see these pro players, like, they'll get a kill, and you can tell if you're watching them, they immediately know what they're doing after they get the kill, because they think about it. They're just like, oh, this is a kill and get back. Or this is a, like, we can fight them if they chase. Or, like, this kind of stuff. Like, force TPs, and then we're out. Or it's like, we're only fighting if TA's not here. You know, they'll think about that kind of stuff. But the point is, like, you got these kills in the laning stage and at 11 minutes, and you clearly just have no mental reset button where it's like, I just got a kill, now what? And sometimes it'll obviously take you a bit longer to process these things than it would take like a very, you know, no-life Dota player in 7K bracket. But the point is, if you need to step away and sit in the trees for 10 seconds, considering what your options are, do it. Get this done, okay? Like, take that extra bit of time to make the right decision rather than this chaos, okay? Because what I'd rather you do is back off, AFK, and try to figure it out, and then realize, oh, we could have continued fighting there. You know what I mean? And then, like, next time around, you may do that correctly. Rather than just continuing to fight without any rhyme or reason to it. Because you could have just gotten that kill on Sniper, backed off, forced 3 TPs top, and that's just, like, space. Like, that is the definition of space, right? Instead, it turns into this, whatever this is, where 2 of you feed, and it's the same thing that you, in terms of space that you created, but 2 of you died. Same thing. So, the emphasis I give every time is what to be thinking about at given moments in a game. And that's, I hope it's clear after kills and such, what needs to be done. So this Sniper's... feel free to link the dead lane video to this guy if he's here, or you know, if you know him at all.
Maybe. I don't think there's any helping him, to be honest.
Yeah, that's fair. So I don't even know if this is a good play. Let's check it out. The play top to get the tower is fine.
Yeah. And then we see the axe low under our ward.
So I think walking into here is insanity, by the way.
Yeah.
I think potentially killing axe really quick is fine, but walking in here is nuts. I don't even care if it works, because you have no tower mid. Your invokers died. They had 2 heroes mid that their natural progression after killing this tower is to walk this way. So they're going to be like right here.
Yep.
So by going here, if you kill the axe immediately, these 2 heroes won't be there yet. So that's like fine. But like if you continue chasing axe, it's so easy for them to all be right here. So like this is the kind of stuff I'm thinking. Like when you're pushing this tower, you looked mid, like you actually looked mid. That's your player perspective. Yep. You see them pushing mid. You're taking this tower. And now you immediately know, you know you don't know where they are, but it's like a radius thing. It's literally like in this amount of time they can travel this far. So like, and what I mean by that is this is where they were, and about 10 seconds later they could either be here, like all the way like this, right?
They're like between the 2 tier 1s and the 2 rune spawns.
Yes, they're somewhere around here, and we don't know, but it's this arch because that's how far they could possibly go. And we have to act like they are any of those spots. Like, we have to, unless we see them. We have to act like they have gone to any of those locations. Because we don't know what they see. We don't know what they're doing. Like, we just have to assume that whatever one affects our decision is where they are. So, like, if I'm walking this way, you'd be like, oh, we can kill Axe real quick. And then you know they're going to be about right here when you go to this kill. And then by the time you miss the blink, you'll know they'll be right here. And what I mean by know they'll be there, meaning... the way I view Dota, I actually did an interview about this recently. Pretty much every way I solve problems nowadays, like it's kind of sad, but the sad reality is, when I say sad, it's kind of cool actually, is I've started solving problems in my life as well as Dota the same method. I literally just think, this is what I want to do, what can go wrong? Like, and when I used this for like hosting my sub tournament, because I thought of all the ways people could cheat. I thought of like all the ways people could ruin my tournament. Like that's all I did, like when I was making the tournament. And we actually prepared, and there's one guy that tried to Photoshop the results. But either way, we came prepared. Like, we knew everything that could go wrong. So, if we're going to make a play on this axe, we want to kill him. That's, like, sometimes it's very simple what we want to do. We want to kill this guy. What can go wrong? And it's like, well, his team's there, and they turn the fight. Because it's like you look and see this, so your teammates aren't going to be there. You look and see that they just killed your tower that you already saw. And you know, worst case scenario, they're right here. And so the only reason you have to consider the worst case scenario is because any other scenario is better. Like, than that worst case scenario. So it's like, if you consider what the worst possible, like what can go wrong is, then as long as you've factored in what can go wrong, then you'll be like, oh, that's fine. If they're not making that play, we're okay with that. And if, like, the minute you see TA bottom, you continue running at this axe because you knew worst case scenario that Lich and TA did this. Like, they just immediately ran here. But that's how I think about anything. Like, is just like, what's the worst case scenario? What do I have to prepare for? And like, if it's not happening, we're fine with that because it's whatever's happening is better for me than that. But even if this works, it just seems pretty nuts to me. So you end up getting away, and I just still think that play is like, whoa, like so high risk. So I don't particularly hate it. I don't want you to play like a pussy, but I also want these thoughts to be like more, you know what I mean? Like, we have more rhyme and reason to what we're doing. It just seems like a lot of chaos. Okay, so we're just I mean, you are forcing fights on the right part of the map. I will say that. So that's a good thing. You are playing the right side of the map. At this point, what's going on is kind of just chaos, so I'm not going to comment too much about it. Does that sniper just have a crit? Oh, I thought I saw a crit. It's a Marble Master. Okay. If you're going to be fighting this much, I definitely recommend having a stick, though.
Yeah.
Okay, we get the D ward. Going blink. I can work with that. I think, like, general itemization is okay. The little things is not okay. Are not okay. Okay. So you're just... I think chilling on this part of the map farming is okay, because if we want to... Like, our next objective on the map is either Roche, mid tier 2, or bottom tier 2, and I'd say it's almost always mid and Roche. Yeah. And so until we get this objective, we probably need to get a kill against this lineup, and to get a kill, we probably need this blink. So I'm thinking let's just chill farm mode. That's how I operate. Is that something similar to what you're thinking, or are you just kind of playing?
Yeah, I mean, I knew like, there's also nothing for me to pressure top, really.
Yeah.
Because the tier 2 is already dead. And mine, so I figured I'd push it out, and that would get my blink as well.
Okay, so this is like absolutely ludicrous to me, all this is, so it's really funny. Okay, so basically, let's think about Dota in a nutshell. Who's their playmaker?
The Axe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where's
he? The TA as well. He's top.
So, if we're caring about what the enemy team's doing that scares us, where are we assuming his entire team is?
Roughly around their shrine, I guess.
Yeah, between me and him, right?
Yep.
If they're here, do we give a shit?
No, not really.
Right, because Axe is right here, so we don't care. All we have to care about is if they're here or not. So we have to play this like they're here, right?
Yep.
That's how we need to play it. That's how I think about it. Like, what's the worst case scenario? Play it like they're here. And if you, like, walk this way and they were all right here, maybe you learn a lesson, because sometimes, like, I'm giving you basic rules, right? Dota's too complicated for me to give you all-encompassing, like, sometimes you learn from this kind of stuff. But if you think about the game, like I'm telling you to think about it, and then you die still, you'll learn something, because there was something you didn't consider. And there's plenty of times, I'll be honest, that I die playing against, like, 6Ks, like low 6Ks, where they're just doing something that I'm like, that makes no fucking sense, but I guess I should have been prepared for it. Like, I guess that's an option I should have considered. I'm like, but that makes no sense that they're doing it. But I should have been prepared. And you'll see even more of that, okay? Like in your bracket. But you should still assume, like, based on like the playmakers top, so they're probably all here. And you also see nobody in this lane. So my point is, if you want to push this lane, I feel a little bit scared to push this lane. But you should just see this and run,
right? Because
you don't know where they are. So like this spot. The lesson I probably learned is you can stun that creep wave and then back off. That's the lesson I learned here, is stun the creep wave and back off. Because even though, like, I just don't think any of this is good. Like, even though it's working, I don't think, like, if you see why, it's, like, fundamentally bad, even though it's working. It's, like, only going to work when your opponents are not very good. And I never like making decisions based on that. Okay. So I really hate this TP. So you're a playmaker. You have a blink. Why'd you blink to base, by the way? Like, what's your reasoning here? Just to save mana on your TP?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're the playmaker, right?
Yep.
So why would I not like this TP?
Because it shows my blink.
That's true. Is there anything else you can think of, though?
The TB's already at the shrine, like nearish the creeps.
Think about what I said about Axe.
He's off map.
About Axe when he was showing top. And he's their playmaker. What did that tell you?
That I was reasonably safe.
And that if a play is being made, it's on that part of the map.
Right.
So, first and foremost, so this is like... I'm going to be straight with you, because I just, you know, I feel like I enjoy being blunt. This is like 10 times, like 10 reasons of garbage. Like, this is so bad, okay? So first and foremost, you got to blink. You probably could have been here 3 seconds later by just blinking from where you were and running here. Secondly, you're showing a blink. Thirdly, you're going to the part of the map with no objectives on it, so you're not going to do anything with your blink. Fourthly, you're telling the entire enemy team that you can't make any plays anywhere else on the map, because not only are you TPing here, but you're TPing in vision of creeps. So if they're any good, they're like, they know for a fact they're safe anywhere else on the map. And I can't even think of any more reasons, but there's probably more. So the idea is, when you get a blink, like I told you, you know, I'm chilling, I'm farming, get this blink, what are we doing with it? And I'm thinking to myself, if I look at my team and look at theirs, I'm smoking, getting a kill, and roshing. That's exactly what I'm doing. So, if this lane needs to be pushed, in your bracket, I believe this lane needs to be pushed, okay? Like, this lane should be pushed. It doesn't... Okay, I don't want to say needs to be. It should be pushed. But it doesn't actually have to be pushed, if you really think about it. Like, nobody on their team's really going to go here. And if they go here, you have a Terrorblade here to defend, and you can TP at any point. So, whoever's here on their team would actually be in danger, right? So I have a blink. I'm a playmaker. Let's get something done. Or at least not limit our capabilities of getting something done. If you TP here, you have nowhere else to go on the map. If I'm a playmaker, the last thing I'll ever do is TP out of base unless the play is literally there. Meaning, like, at that spot, at that moment. Because if I walk here and push the lane, because I feel like, say I deem myself, I need to push this lane. Say that to myself. I want to get these bounties, I want to push this lane, and then go make a play. How about I walk here, and then 20 seconds later, once I get the bounties, I can assess where the best play on the map is. If it's top, great. But if it's anywhere else, I can instantly TP there and go. And suddenly I'm a threat everywhere on the map. And that's huge, right? And that's like a big deal about being an offlaner. Being in like these offlane initiators is being in the right place at the right time. And the key to that is by not limiting yourself to be in the right place at the right time by doing stuff like this. So, like, if you're like a Beastmaster, that's one thing, but you're a Sven with a blink. So it's like, you're just showing so much information. And guess what happens when you show information? Like that Axe top. What happened when the Axe showed top?
Like, we knew where they were.
His Witch Doctor casually fed. He came later and fed. So even though you made a bad play, they lost 2-1. Guess what happened when you showed top?
Shaman got
somebody randomly feeds. I guarantee you it is not coincidence, okay? Like, it just isn't. When a playmaker feeds, even in 3K, 4K, or sorry, when a playmaker shows unnecessary information, somebody on his team's going to pay the price. It always is this way. Like, when a carry TPs badly, the entire team pays the price because of it. So, like, you need to think about, like, what the hindrance on your own team is. And that's what happened here. So, like, you know, I don't need you to know how to use smokes very well, but I need you to, if you buy a blink, like, know you're a playmaker, use a smoke, and do something. It doesn't have to make the right play, but make a play. And so, yeah, like, just all the reasons I've already mentioned, so... I think the over resounding theme is I can't possibly come up with what's going on in your mind, because I actually have to imagine nothing is, to be blunt with you. Like, I feel like you just see a hero and you're like, go. You know why I know this? Because I used to do that. I literally, why do you think I played Slark and Ursa like as my two favorite heroes, dude? Like, I would just see somebody and blink on top of them and feed. Like, that's all I would do. And so, like, the skill that came with, like, learning to get better at Dota the way it showed on my Ursa play is that I didn't blink into 3 heroes and die anymore. Like, I played Ursa just as well mechanically. Nothing changed except for having reasons to my play. So it was none of this random shit. Okay, so, like, if you look at the map right now, your team's casually in the back, meaning, like, in your own side of the base. Your Invoker's farming your own jungle. Your Terrorblade's farming his own jungle. Your Shaman's not with you. And they're all missing. Like, none of them are showing. And the question that I think to myself when I make an engagement is, how easy is it for both teams to have all of their heroes on this location in, like, 5 to 10 seconds? And if the answer is, like, your team can't be there and theirs can be there, whatever you're doing better be able to be done in, like, 3 seconds and done, right? Like, because otherwise, like, if anything happens, their entire team's going to be there. And that's exactly what happens here, right? Like, your team's not going to be there, their entire team is there, and then you're just feeding.
Right.
And none of this is good. Like, even though it may look like, you know, I'm making space. It's like, no, that's not making space. And then they decide to overchase, and they feed. I would probably have Dust on me because they have TA. Because I want to make plays on the map, and, like, that I need to think about, like, if I'm going to be a Blink Dagger hero smoked up or something, you know, what can go wrong? And my mind is I run into a TA who just meld strikes. Or, sorry, that just melds. So, yeah. That's how I look at it. The fact that you don't even have a smoke is definitely the first step. Other than saying that you have a blink, you need a smoke is about all I can really say to that. Okay, so I guess you bought a couple of sessions. So is that true? You bought a couple?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I can approach this in a way of, like, I need you to do something before you get back. So I'm going to move on to the next game and get that taken care of. But from this game, what I would need you to focus on to get better at before the next session is, first and foremost, when you're in the lane, do your best to ask yourself what situation I'm in right now. How strong am I? What do I want to be doing? What do I need to be able to do that? Do I need another hero? Do I need items? Do I need regen? Do I need levels? Like, and then if you recognize what you need and what you want to do, it's so easy, because the instant that situation happens, you just do it. Like, because you knew ahead of time, this is what I needed. So that's the first and foremost in the laning stage. That'll bleed on later into the game, meaning, like, you'll start using that same thought process later, but it's much easier when you're in, like, a 2v2 scenario or a 1v1, or, you know, when you don't have to worry about 10 heroes in the game. So that's the first thing. Second thing is items, like, big deal items. Like, ask yourself what the items do for you, build them in the right order, start to get that done. That's not going to be done perfectly, but I want to see very, like, purposeful items. So if I buy a blink, I'm using it to go kill people with a smoke planned around objectives. Like, I'm not just blinking on top of people that I see. I need to think, what objectives on the map do I need? And then thirdly, I would say, ask yourself the thing about towers. Like, every time you're doing something aggressive on the map, why am I doing it? Because in the Sand King session that you saw, if you remember, he was level 6, and the PA was level 6. Maybe he was Sven. He was Sven in that one. Yeah. And I'm like, are you much stronger than him? And he's like, no. I'm like, but are you stronger than him? He's like, yes. So I was like, okay, what does that mean? And he's like, and we basically came to the conclusion that he's allowed to play aggressive, but he can't just, like, go ham diving them under their tower, because the guy's level 6 and he's level 6, but he's stronger. So I'm like, if you're stronger than him, but not that much stronger, what can you do? And we came to the conclusion that you can be aggressive on him and potentially force the enemy team to react to it, and then just walk away.
Back off.
Yeah, instead, in his session, he's literally fucking diving a level 6 PA when he's level 6. I'm like, you're acting like you're level 8 and he's level 4. Like, what are you doing? You know, like, so if you constantly ask yourself that, you just will make better decisions. So, we'll move on to the next game. Do you have any questions before I move on to the next one?
No, I think that makes sense.
Okay. We'll probably see repetitive mistakes, so if I see anything that's repetitive, I'll just mention it and then move on.
Yeah, this game's a bit of a clusterfuck. there's just a bunch, like, we're dire obviously, and there's just a bunch of heroes bottom for most of the game, and both my 1 and 2 were, like, my Monkey King lost his lane super hard, and I didn't really know what to do. We played Monkey King Rubik into Axe and Grimstroke, and obviously didn't win that lane.
Yeah, I mean, so
and like, we had good
that's a hard
lane,
spot.
but...
That's a hard spot. Whenever your other lanes lose, it's just a weird spot to be put in. It makes every decision you make super awkward. So all I can do in all these scenarios is, and I want this to be the focus, is not because like all I can do is this is the only way I can help you, is this is the way you need to process these scenarios, is like what I'm going to be talking to you about. So like, when I consider all of the objectives I can take and I consider all the things I can do, it makes it very clear to me what my options are. Because sometimes your options are just nothing, meaning there's no good option at this current moment, meaning you need an item. You need to wait till your carry is 6, or you need to whatever. And like until that moment, you can't do anything. And if you've processed and thought about every option you can make, and none of them make sense, and your conclusion is there's nothing you can do, that's correct. But the only way you can come to that conclusion, and the reason why I tell people the hardest thing in Dota is to do nothing, is because to get that conclusion correctly, you have to have considered everything you could have done, and then none of it makes sense, right? Like in these type of spots, it looks hopeless, and so like the way I look at it is, what can I do at this current moment? Sometimes that's nothing. And if it's nothing right now, when can I do something? At what point does that change? And I have to recognize very clearly what that is. Okay. So you have 270 gold. I believe going into a lane, or 245, sorry. Going into a lane with more than 200 gold and not buying either a quelling or a stick is like, on like strength heroes especially, because like on agi heroes maybe you save up and get like an early wraith band or something. But like quelling and stick are just so good, like in terms of depending on the lane. You have 67 damage. How much does Slark have?
Like 50-ish, I think.
59. So unless he has branches, yeah. So he has 61 because he has branches. So what item is very helpful if you have 67 damage and he has 61? Quelling, right? Instantly, like, that's the first decision you can make in a lane. Like, how important is quelling? How important is stick? I think I talked to the guy in the other session about this. Like, he went first item quelling his Finn against PA, and I'm like, you don't need a quelling blade against PA. You hit for 67, and he hits for 49. You don't need quelling. Like, you can buy a stick and get more stuns, and then use your stun more. Like, that's how I thought about it. I'm like, I'm against PA. I do more damage than her. I'm going to buy a stick because she's going to be spamming dagger on me, and that gives me an extra stun or 2 in the lane. And then so I can use my stuns to get CS and then win the lane that way. So this is just another example of like little decisions with items. That like, if you can't make the decision right with your first 200 gold, you're not going to make the decision right later. Okay. So let me see how this broke out. Slark against 2 melees with an ogre. Who's stronger?
The Slark is probably. Okay. We layered our stuns, which was the problem, though.
Yeah, so you layered your stuns. So, what's it take for him to trade with you? Like, what does he have to expend?
Just right clicks.
Okay, and what does it take for you to trade with him?
Mana.
Mana. So it's like, you just have to be very selective in a lane like this when you're trading. So it's like, yeah, you guys overlap stuns. But first and foremost, I recommend if you're going to get trading with a Slark, why is it super important you stun him like right at the start?
Because he has the agi steal and it builds up.
So he gets armor, he gets, you have less damage. Like, it all little things, right? But it adds up, like, if you let him hit you. So, in my mind in this lane, I'm thinking, I'm not trading with Slark ever, like, casually trading. I'm either committing with my stuns to take off, like, 400 of his health, or I'm not hitting him at all, right? Like, that's how I'm thinking about it. At least for the level 1. Like, in this type of situation, it updates itself every So like things can change. Like when you get level 2, who's stronger? When you get level 3, who's stronger? Like I would say as the lane goes on, if you fall behind, it's a nightmare, because if you can't kill him, then he wins because he wins trades. But if he can't sustain through your 400 damage of harass, then you win the lane, because the minute you harass him once and he can't walk up again because he's half health, then you win. So that's how I look at this lane, right? So we need to play according to that happening, and we just a little bit over aggressive there. Even though like it was really close, I feel like this is a situation where if we fall behind, it's like a disaster. Yeah, so like this is very dangerous when you're looking at lanes like this one. We end up getting a kill on him, but he's gonna come back full health, full mana, while we're not. Okay, so lane's pushing into us. I have no health, or I have no mana. Let's chill. They have a lot of creeps, we have none. Let's chill. He has a lot of agi. Let's chill. I'm just telling you what to think about. Not, you know, obviously, you know, you can't listen because you got it. Okay, this is good. He's underneath tower. He overextended. That's fine, and he ends up dying. Cool. He has no TP. Keep that in mind. Oh, I guess he does have a TP because we're fast forwarding. I'm kind of on this internal clock. Okay. So we've been trading a lot, right?
Yeah.
So I told you going into the lane, exactly what items to build and why, right? Like at certain points, like buy a quelling level 1 because we don't exactly want to trade with them too much, and if we do, like, if we're just CSing, we have similar damage. And then, so at this stage, I'm telling you based on the lanes I played exactly what items I wanted, because I could tell you pretty much exactly what's going to happen in the lane, right?
Yeah.
If you're 3K, if you're 4K, even if you're 5K, 6K, I don't expect you to have nearly as much lane knowledge as I have. Why? Because I've just played more Dota and, you know, thought about this stuff a lot more. So what you can do is after a lane's over, or when you're reflecting on a game, you can think about what problems you have and how they could have been solved reasonably. Sometimes they just can't be solved. Like sometimes it's just a bad lane matchup or something. But like in this lane, it's like you have full health, but you have no mana. So it's like either you need to fly yourself mangoes. Why are mangoes so important opposed to clarities?
Because it's instant mana.
It's instant. And also like in the way this meta works, it's like you can just drop items in mango and it's like actually more efficient usually. It's only 20 gold more. Like, you know, it's like 3 mangoes is 4 clarities, or 2 mangoes is 3 clarities, you know. So it's like if I drop my 2 bracers in mango, it's like, you know, a lot more mana effectively unless I play passively. The only time clarities are good is if I have no interaction with the enemy hero. Which is, so I'd say the rule is mangoes, the exception is clarities. That's how I would describe it. So, basically what I'm saying though is you look at your items right now, and to play the lane, we can't trade with him just hitting him, right? Like we've talked about this. So if we talked about that going into the lane, then at all times you need to be able to stun him. Like you have to be able to stun him. So like your itemization and the way you play the lane, you have to have that threat of stunning him at all times. And if you can't stun him, you have to play like a pussy. Like that's how it is. And so if you adjust to that properly, that's like the first step. But the second step is like having as little time as possible where that situation happens. So you're flying yourself some clarities, which means it's still going to take a while for you to get those items. Okay, so let's see. As long as you can stun him, it's okay. So luckily we got enough mana there with the clarity. Okay. Okay, so let's go. Oh, well, your Medusa's an asshole.
Correct.
Okay.
And then our level 3 Monkey King shows up. And now I'm unsure what to do. Do I just stay in this lane with Monkey here? He's abandoned top, essentially, is what's happened. But, he and Rubik are fighting, and you know, each think that the other one is the single worst player on the planet, and they can't lane against the Grim and the Axe.
I have to imagine that. Okay, your number one problem is courier usage and items, 100%, not even close. Like number one problem. Like it's really funny to me because everyone in your bracket, like they have like an equal number of problems, but it's always like different problems. It's really funny to me how it works like after coaching for a while. So your problem number one is your courier awareness is like a 1 out of 10. It needs to be like at least a 6, like to get us to like we can start worrying about other things. Like what I mean is you can't possibly be content with this health and this mana and no regen in your pocket. Like you have to realize like you're gonna take trades, right? You have to think like I'm going to trade with them. I'm gonna lose some health. I'm gonna lose some mana, and all I got's a clarity. Like I ain't gonna fly. Like I don't care if you have a shrine coming up. Like even then, like I want you to overbuy regen and be like, wow, I didn't need that salve, or I didn't need that mango. Like please do that. Like way overshoot it. I don't care. Like it's kind of like when I'm trying to teach people to be aggressive. Like sometimes I have people that come to my sessions and they're just pussies. Like they're actually just, they never do anything. Like you're like crazy. You're like a maniac. They're like there will literally be a guy that if they just push R, the guy dies and they won't do it. Right? I'm like, yeah. It's just hilarious to me. So my point is like when I tell them to fix a lack of aggression problem, I tell them, if you think there's any chance to be aggressive and you don't know, meaning you don't actually know what the right answer is, just do it and find out. Yeah. Like, just do it. So in your case, you need more regen, way more. Just buy regen and come from it from the other perspective, meaning like, instead of thinking, I could have used this regen, buy all the regen, play your aggressive ham style, and then be like, oh, I didn't actually need that much. Or I needed more, or, you know, whatever. It's because, like, what I'm thinking is, the reason why I'm going to this and coming back to this is, the minute Monkey King TPs into your lane, and this is what your health and mana looks like, what is your choice?
I mean, not much. You pretty much have to go well while trying. But,
yeah, like, you have to go somewhere. You have to go get health and mana. And, like, so, I would say when the Monkey King rotates to your lane like this, your two options are to take over his lane or to lane with him. But you can't even lane with him because you have this. So immediately your options suck because you don't have any. You only have one. Your two options are to TP top and shrine and take over his lane, or go to base.
Yeah.
Like, I can just tell you, the way Dota works, the way you get in the most scenarios that are good, is it's the same thing with that blink dagger. Oh, sorry, I need to turn my ringtone down. It's the same thing as it was when you TP top with your blink dagger. If the play ends up being top, then your TP was fine, right? In that scenario. Yeah. But if the play's anywhere else, it's bad. If your correct play here was to TP top and trade lanes, your mistake has no cost, right? Because that's what you can do anyways. But if your correct play is to stay bottom with him, you're fucking yourself. Like, you're actually just ruining your own game because you have no health and no mana to do what you need to do. And the courier is going to leave base again, by the way, when you look like this. So I'm just emphasizing over and over how often this is affecting you, not to keep flaming the same mistake. It just shows how often it affects you to not have the right items on you. Okay, so when it comes to this happening, so this is something that even in my bracket, offlaners handle very poorly. So if I'm a support, okay, so offlane is kind of a support if you think about it. Like, your job is to enable the other two guys, right?
Yeah.
So like earlier in your other game, when you were strong, you were pushing that top tier 2 to help your Terrorblade. Like, that was your reasoning, which I'm fine with that. That's fine. So now we need to, like, this is a nightmare scenario. Your Monkey King's fucking level 2 at 5 minutes and 30 seconds. So
5 CS.
Yeah, like, this is nightmarish levels, okay? But either way, you have to think about what's best for this guy, okay? So if a carry is incredibly weak, what are the two options in general? Like, don't mention them here, not to this specific place. What are the two options for a carry? Sorry, like for the rest of the team to do to help the carry.
They can either babysit him or they can apply pressure somewhere else to make space for him.
Hey, that was exactly the answer I was looking for. So, perfect. So, if you're looking to apply pressure elsewhere, what things can you consider that makes that a bad option? I don't know how else to word that question, but like, what would make that a bad option if you think I should pressure elsewhere?
I mean, if we just end up feeding in the elsewhere.
So
Like,
meaning you're not strong enough to pressure.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. And then if you're pressuring elsewhere, what does that mean for your carry?
Well, he has to be able to get the farm.
He has to be able to be independent and be alone.
Right.
And by the way, this is why Sniper's not a safe laner, okay? Because if you're a safe laner hero that is not capable of being independent at all, your team has one option, and that's to babysit you if you have a bad start. So a lot of people ask me why heroes like Sniper are not safe laners, because if the game goes wrong, which that happens sometimes, the only option is to sit there babysitting you. But with every other carry in the game, the option is to either babysit you or go elsewhere. But what do you do if you have a safe lane Sniper? You can't leave him alone. You just can't.
Yeah.
So like you have these heroes like Drow, Medusa, these like squishy safe laners. They just go jungle, and they leave their lane. But Sniper can't do that. So that's why, for instance, he's not a safe laner for the 1K players in chat. So basically, you're ruining the game for the rest of your team by picking it, is like what I'm trying to say. Like, that you give them no choices from their perspective. From your perspective, I'm a sniper and I just need help. It's like, okay. Either way, moving on. So basically, when you get in these nightmare scenarios, like we said, your two options are to babysit him or to pressure elsewhere. Are we capable of pressuring elsewhere in this given game?
Not really.
No. You can't create pressure top. You have to be like way stronger than Axe, right? To do that.
Yeah.
And even if you were stronger than Axe, what pressure are you really creating? Like, I can't really think.
He has Grimstroke too.
Yeah, he's strong. Like, they're scary up there, right?
Yeah.
So is it safe to say that top lane is the dead lane right now?
Yeah.
Nothing is happening there. It's a little early. Usually that doesn't start happening until like 8 minutes into the game or more. But when your safe lane feeds relentlessly, it accelerates the process. Okay, so top lane's a dead lane. So in this kind of scenario, who goes top?
The Rubik. Just
anyone that like a support that's kind of chilling, or nobody. That's the two options. Like maybe your Medusa farms underneath the tier 2, or your Rubik takes the dangerous farm, but that's it. Nobody else goes there. Okay, so that's off the table. That is off the table for us. We just can't do that. So to be more simply put, when you decide this option, the rule is to babysit your carry. The exception is that doesn't work. That's how I kind of look at it. So like certain carries just, they don't want help and they can't be helped. Okay? Like they just can't be. So in that case, you have to just try to force whoever's giving them issues away from them. That's like, and like if they ruin their own game like this, that just sucks for everyone else in the game, because it ruins everyone else's game when this Monkey King's lane goes like this. So after everything's said and done, what is your only choice here?
I guess to babysit him.
To literally lane with him. To lane with him.
Even lane here against Ogre and Slark. And
yeah, you need to bring 3 heroes here with Earth Spirit and lane here. That's like what needs to happen. Like that's the perfect play. I mean, that's the correct play. And you lane 3 heroes here, and Rubik's farming top, who can potentially rotate if a crazy fight goes on. That's how I'm looking at this scenario. And maybe you can force like the Wind Ranger to show up, or you can force Axe to come bottom, and then Monkey King can eventually return to top. But if you TP top right now, you're not happy because you're kind of like even against the Axe, and then your Monkey King's just gonna feed down here. Like that's what's gonna happen. He's just gonna feed down here. So like you know that, right? Like he's level 2, Slark's level 4. So it's like when I say you're kind of a support, when I have my support coaching sessions and I talk to them about rotating away from their lane and stuff, like just yesterday in my Battle Cup, for anyone who was watching, we were against like Medusa, Shaman, Tusk, and we were Anti-Mage, Dazzle, Earth Spirit. And if you like, I know it's hard to visualize these lanes, but like if we don't have Dazzle, they have Tusk, Shaman. So they just have like tons of lockdown and they have damage. So if we don't have Dazzle, not only can we not be aggressive, but we literally have to play like pussies. But if Dazzle's there and one of them goes on us, we just poison touch him and hit him and he dies. So it's like Dazzle has no option to leave that lane. Because if he just processes it to himself, if I leave this lane, what happens to my carry? If I'm here, what does that mean for my carry? So like it's the same thing for you as like a pseudo support in this case. If I leave, what happens to my carry? If I stay, what can we do here? Okay, we can at least occupy this lane. Like we can't win it. We're not going to bully them away. But this guy's level 2, so we got to make do with what we got. And in the meantime, our Medusa's going to farm, and our Rubik can chill top. And so at this point, you're kind of demoted to a 4. Demoted to a support, because you can't afford... Like, your support's not strong enough to lane with Monkey King. Like, meaning if you're leaving, your support Rubik Earth Spirit's probably not going to be enough. And it's better to just put Rubik top, because he can farm that as well, as you can. You can probably farm it better than you can. Okay, so you're bottom. And my only issue with the fact that you're bottom is that you just have no resources.
Yeah.
But okay, we get a kill. This is actually... So, notice how literally what I said should happen happened. It ended up being good. Sweet. And this is something where if this doesn't work, I don't mind it. Why? Like, say you guys try to kill Slark and it just doesn't work.
Why is our only shot anyway?
Yeah, you have no other option. There's no other play. So what ended up happening was you actually forced Grimstroke out of top.
Yeah.
So if Monkey King's any good, he should just go top now.
Well, except he fed after we killed the Slark.
Well, no, I'm saying though, so he died, who cares?
Oh, and then...
He's respawning, TP top. Like, he's, like, you made space for him.
Right.
If he comes back bottom, he's a potato. I mean, he's a potato. What can you do, okay? Like, whatever. Like, you can tell him when he dies, though, and you're walking back to base, hey, man, like, Grimstroke TP bottom, go top. You know, you can try that. If he doesn't listen, so be it. But, like, you know why you did what you did. You laned with him bottom, and he can't lane top anymore. So why couldn't he lane top anymore? This is the kind of stuff he has to think about, but he's obviously not. But at this point, since he goes back bottom, where do you have to go?
Bottom again?
Yeah. Instead, you go top.
Yeah. Well, the axe was under the tower, and I thought we could get him.
Okay, so I guess never mind. You know what? He should have gone top, and you should go bottom, and he kind of ruined his own game, and you saw an opportunity to kill the guy. So I'm gonna let this one, like, this is fine. Like, in relativity to your Monkey King, it's not good, but like, if your Monkey King is just Garbo, it's kind of hard to play around that all the time. So I'm not gonna worry about that. This decision ended up being fine, but this is like why I don't exactly want you guys making plays here. I think it's like fine if you guys kill him, but notice how awkward it is that you're top now, and why I never really wanted you to be here. None of this feels good. Notice how you left base again with no regen items.
Yeah.
This is the dead lane. We don't want to make plays here. We can make... Okay, when I talk about the dead lane, have you seen any of my videos or have you heard me talk about it ever? Or no?
Yeah, yeah. I've seen
Okay, so when I talk about the dead lane, what are our two choices? Or three choices. Three choices, sorry. About, like, in terms of how we handle the lane.
Well,
The first option is never go there.
Yeah.
What's the next option?
Leave someone who's relatively unimportant to, you know, deal with it safely. Like, we could just have Rubik, like,
okay.
fade bolting.
Okay, that's the second option. What's the third option?
I don't know.
Whatever's making it a dead lane, kill that person and disperse. Like, quickly address it and leave. Like, or like, resume, kill the person and then resume option 1 or 2.
Yeah.
So, if you guys kill top, then you have to then resume option 1 or 2. Unless, by killing them, it's no longer too dangerous to be there.
Yeah.
Like, unless the situation changes with the kill, then, because that does happen sometimes, then we're now back.
I was going to just farm a wave and then leave.
Okay.
But then the Deuce poured it in, and then it felt like, well, now, like, if I just leave her there, then she's just going to die. And that seems...
Yeah, so...
Like, I'm sort of stuck.
Okay, so that's fine. So, it's just tough. Generally speaking, in your bracket, I think it's okay. You don't want to over-communicate too much, but, like, when you make a big TP like that to kill the axe, it's like... Even saying something like, we're chilling here, no more plays top, something like that can be really helpful. It's hard to, like, get you to do the right thing about that, but as long as you only stayed because of somebody else's mistake, that ends up being okay, like, meaning it's not stemming from your own fault, but it's still, like, it's rough, because if you stay, you're, like, enabling her. So, like, I would say when he TPs, be like, this is trash. Everyone get out of here. Run as a team. Like, just get out of here, guys. Let the tower go. That kind of thing. And, like, I would say it's better to have her TP and then instantly disperse to get her back to mid and you out of there than it is to linger and like be like, well, she TP'd, so I guess we're glued here. If they don't listen to you, then if she needs your help to be there, then stay with her. That's kind of what you got to do at that point. But I would say know what needs to be done, and if it doesn't get done, know why you like. I don't know how to word this. You wanted her to not be there because you don't want her to be in danger. If she stays there, then help her because she's in danger. Like, it's hard though, man, when teammates don't work with you. But it is like, as long as you have an idea of what you're supposed to be doing, then like I would never TP top here. Okay, so these guys are just feeding casually, but that's nice. Like, they're letting you back in the game.
Yeah.
Notice anything different again? Okay, cool. Good talk. Yeah, I'm just mentioning it again. Every time you come out of a fight, you just have no mana. This is where plays do need to be made. Notice how Monkey King is now recovering top. That should have happened after his first rotation bottom, rather than 2 or 3 rotations or whatever.
It's a good thing Medusa got that extra CS at the end there. That was
yeah, that was good. So you're back to bottom. All this is space for the Monkey King. I actually like that your Medusa is showing up to all this. She's supposed to, so that's good. Unfortunate. No, I'm just watching it out before I say anything. So, you guys get the kill on Axe. You're defending your own tower. Your team's chasing. I mean, your team's doing garbage stuff right now. Not much you can do about it. I would definitely have my perspective here to see what's going on. Whenever you get kills, right, instantly reset mentally. What's going on in the game, right? Like, let's just try to center ourselves. If our team's doing crazy shit, that's pretty hard to predict. But what will always be checkable is the lanes. So, we just got done with an engagement top. Bottom. Whenever an engagement happens, what did I say about when you forced reactions to top in the previous game? What's going to be happening from the other team?
They're going to be forced to fight there.
They're either going to fight you there, or they're going to look like, okay, sorry. Better question. I worded my question incorrectly. When you force them to react top, what's going to be happening that your team does?
Oh, they're going to push the other lane.
And so it's like in relevance to the other team. I mean, like, they have to worry about you guys pushing lanes, but I worded the question poorly. But so the point is, you guys just took an engagement bottom.
Right.
Under your own tower. Same thing as last game, right? Where you forced them under their own tower.
Yep.
So guess what's happening to your other 2 lanes?
They're being pushed.
They're being pushed. This guy is showing up on Slark to push this lane, and Wind Ranger's already pushing this one.
Right.
So every time I take an engagement, you have to automatically check the other 2 lanes. Is top a problem?
Nah.
No, they're just defending it. It was already getting pushed in, and so their version of pushing that is pushing it out. It's not being creating pressure. So the next one is mid, right?
Yeah.
Which is getting pressured, even though the guy's like not doing a great job. But like, this is a perfect example of like, imagine how much pressure and shit this Wind Ranger could be creating if she's not trash.
Yeah, but she almost has a defusal.
I'm saying no boots, double no. Fucking what? Okay, where are the treads? Like, treads are so good on Wind Ranger now. Like, how do you not go treads? So, but okay. So basically, either way, the point is you get away with more because of all the mistakes I'm pointing out from your opponents. You make fun of them, but your itemization is just as trash. So
I know.
I'm just being clear because I like being an asshole about it. But okay, so I just want your player perspective here to be here. Okay, all good. Here, what can I do about this, if anything? I don't need you to always do something about it. I just need you to think about it, right?
Yeah.
Like, you didn't even look. So that's like my main emphasis is like, you don't even know if you could have done something about it. What if you looked and saw Wind Ranger had literally 0 mana? Oh, I can TP in and defend this, right? Or what, because you're low, that's why I'm saying she would have to have no mana.
Right.
And otherwise, you can tell your team, somebody go mid. And just maybe 5% of the time, they're not going to do this shit. Okay.
I mean,
I'm saying, just maybe. Like, if you're thinking about the game from your perspective, somebody go mid. And the only reason you thought about this is because you considered going mid. And then you were like, I can't go mid. And then, notice how all of this, that if I ever want you to tell your teammates to do something, it's in relativity or relativeness. I don't know. It's relative to you. Like, it's because you thought about it and couldn't do it. And I don't want you to try to do anyone else's job for them. But if you're like considered going mid and you couldn't, be like somebody else. Try to go mid. All this shit is just chaos. I think if you're a full health, full mana, you could have defended mid, so that's like another consideration. You are just simply having a lot of your options removed by this over and over again. Okay, that was space. Pretty ballsy, but either way, I think when you're in a spot like you are, it's okay to make some ballsy plays. So you walk back bottom. Your team's getting on in their own jungle. Let's see what led up to this. Okay, so your Monkey King gets picked off.
Monkey King's farming the,
yeah, he's just bad. That's fine. Our Spirit TP's
and
in.
We try to take a fight after Monkey King dies for some reason.
I think this is just shit you can't show up to.
Okay.
Like, there's just no way this goes correctly. So, like, in my mind, you can try to say...
I mean, I was telling them not to take a fight, but
yeah.
at the point at which they're taking it, like...
What I'm saying is, like...
if I don't show up, they're all just gonna die.
Yeah,
like,
they are gonna die, right? But that's just... Like, I guess that's a hard call to make, but, like, if they're all just gonna die, you have to kind of just let them die and force the enemy team to not get anything off of it. That's how I look at it. So, like...
Just, like, shove in bottom.
I would have shoved in bottom, TP'd mid, pushed that out if I could real quick, like, clear a wave. That's what I would have done.
Yeah.
Because your team's just... You just can't do anything about this. Like, they're just feeding for no reason. And it's just like, yeah, you guys end up getting a kill on Wind Ranger and Ogre, but like, the way I look at this is because you TP top, look at the rest of the map, right? Like, it's just, you guys lost all control. It's really hard for you guys to ever get back bottom because you have no tier 1. Mid lane's going to get pushed a little bit, but you guys are losing a tower. They're going to push in mid, and then your entire map's gone because it's really hard to get bottom, and then these lanes are pushed in. But if you had just stayed bottom and pushed this in and then gone mid and pushed it out, maybe you even get these 2 bounty runes, and you know what I'm saying? It's like a map control thing. So by, like, going top, you're taking the risk that if you lose that fight, you have no map control. And so unless you really think the fight's good, meaning, like, your team's set up and it's, like, somebody's getting gone on, but it's, like, your Medusa and Monkey King's behind her or something, then you just have to let those fights go. So go ahead.
I mean, I didn't think it was good, but I just thought, like, getting wiped 4-0 wasn't exactly... like we're not gonna win if we just like get our Monkey King picked off and then take a 3-on-5 and get.
What I'm saying is, I understand what you're saying. Neither option is good here. I'm saying the better option in almost every pub you ever do will be the option to push out lanes rather than joining in on that garbage. Like, it's almost always better. And if you pick heroes like Sven, you can kind of carry the game too. Meaning, like, you know, you do offer slight carry potential in that regard. So you have a blink. You got your blink. You pushed in top, which was good. I haven't seen you buy a smoke a single time.
Yeah.
In your bracket, even if you ask for it, they're probably not gonna buy it for you. So, that's why I'm saying, like, you probably just have to buy it yourself. I even buy my own smoke sometimes. So, okay, you TP'd out. Okay. So there's no axe top, but your team's just feeding at this point. So I've talked about some decisions this game. This game's just like super awkward now. I think you need to. I think the mistakes are resoundingly similar though. I think in this game there were a couple points, maybe 2 or 3, where you were at a point of these are the 3 options I have, and the one that ends up being correct, you actually just don't have the items and resources to do it. Like, it seems so simple, but it is the problem because, like, you just always have no resources when I check your mana and health in the first, like, 12 minutes of the game. And, like, the point that I want to make going forward is I gave you all the options that could be correct in these scenarios. And your job as a player when it comes to being, like, better at Dota is to be, like, able to do as much of those as possible. And, like, there's just some games where you can't do all of them. Sometimes you make a mistake. Sometimes just the way it worked out, you just couldn't do it. But it's much higher percentage than what you're currently yielding, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So, overemphasis on regen items. I would say, once again, though, When you get this blink dagger, have a purpose when you're buying these items. I know it's the same repetitive shit, but we're seeing it, right? Like, you just have this blink and we're not doing anything with it. You kind of just went and farmed a lane.
Right.
And then it's like, if you had a smoke on you and then there's no option to ever smoke because your team's just feeding, that's one thing. But I actually have no idea what the possibilities are because you don't have the tools needed to make them a potential option. Same thing like with laning bottom. Maybe you guys could have killed that Slark bottom and then taken a tower, but instead you have 20 health and TP back to base after that fight. And it's like, we just don't know. We don't know what it looks like if you play that with better items and better... Like, the first step for you to fix is really emphasizing that. And it starts with that 200 gold at the start of the lane. Make that decision correctly. What's the most important first item for me? Is it boots, quelling, stick? What is it?
Mm-hmm.
Make an educated guess. And if it's wrong, we can talk about that. The problem for me as a coach, though, is I feel like that educated guess is never happening, so I can't teach you to make the right choice because the choice isn't being made in the first place. So I think after the way you've answered my questions in general, that if you start thinking about this stuff this way, you'll get better at it. Like, I'm getting the impression that you have a pretty good understanding of a lot of these things. It's just like a lot of the things you're not doing correctly, it's not because you don't understand them, it's because you just... it doesn't even cross your mind to think about them in the first place. So, that's my major thing. So it's the items, but then something I talk about when diagnosing lanes is, like I said, you know, to get to the right items not only requires like building the right... I mean, it's not as simple as just build the right items. You know, that's not how it works. It's like when I told you in the Slark lane, he has 60 damage, you have 67. Oh, I should buy a quelling. Or, oh, like, he's got essence shift, so all he has to... I have to be able to stun to trade well. So I could maybe go into that lane with Salve Mango, or Salve Tango, and 2 mangoes, rather than 2 salves, 2 tangos, a salve, and 1 mango, because I want that extra stun. Or, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
If you think about how the lane's going to play, and how the matchup goes, you'll build better items, and you'll be like, I need stuns. And it's like, if I have 0 mana... I'm using this damn courier so I have mana. Like,
yeah.
Look, you know, like, I'm having mana for this lane. Be adamant about, like, how you think the lane needs to be played. And if you come into the next session with, like, that mentality, and then you're doing the wrong things, we can work with that.
Sounds good.
Yeah, if you get what I'm saying. I can work with that. So, that's pretty much it from me. Any questions from you before we wrap it up?
No, not really. No,
Okay. It seems pretty clear. I think like it's just these very simple things. It's like complicated things, but the simple part is just starting to work on them. And I think like your overall positioning on the map's pretty good. Mm-hmm. And a lot of your decisions on where the wrong place to be is based on your teammates. But I think your decisions are just made way harder by all the stuff we've already talked about. So
yeah, makes sense.
Cool. Thanks for signing up, man. I guess I'll be hearing from you in the future. And
okay.
I'd say give it at least a week usually, or at least I'd say minimum a week, obviously, but I usually say about 2
okay.
to fix
Sounds
this
good.
stuff. So thanks, man. Talk to you later.
All right. Have a good one.
Yep. See you.